there is something that I find interesting about the internet computer, and more specifically, that is regarding caffeine AI. Now, let me explain what I mean by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice. I want to discuss kind of the aspects of caffeine AI because not too long ago, caffeine had a hackathon. Now, what is a hackathon? Let me explain it real quick. Allegedly, it is an event where people engage in rapid and collaborative engineering over a relatively short period of time, like for instance, 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever the case may be. But again, that's the example that is showcased there. But besides that, if we take a look at caffeine in this hackathon, what was showcased? There was something called dental tracks, and this is basically focused on oral health. Now, in this event, dental tracks won third place, non-technical winner, and they won 7.5 grand. But even besides that, that's a pretty good amount, and I think congratulations to dental tracks. More specifically, dental tracks, Joanna did showcase this, so again, congratulations to Joanna. But if we take a look at what was showcased in dental tracks, it basically is, again, focused on dental, so teeth, right? And then if we take a look at, for instance, it has features like translating confusing procedure codes into plain English. We also take a look at, for instance, one centralized hub replaces scattered paperwork across multiple offices. There's a bunch of aspects, but I'm just highlighting a few there. And why do I think this could be a good indicator in terms of what caffeine could potentially be used for moving forward? It's because if, let's say, it does make a big impact in the dental industry, I would say, that's also another bonus because, for instance, the global dental market size was valued at around $37.9 billion in 2024, according to Fortune Business Insights. So I think that's a pretty big market right there. Now, it's not the biggest, but I think that's pretty impressive. And keep in mind, when it comes to caffeine, it is allegedly the world's first ever self-writing apps platform. So we have to think about the possibilities there. Dental may just be one of the possibilities. We take a look at why is this, I think, amazing because caffeine utilizes AI to translate natural language prompts into code, automating and simplifying the application development process. Now, if we take a look at application development, historically, a lot of people would say that, sometimes it's complicated, sometimes it takes a lot of time. But if we take a look at caffeine AI, again, we take a look at being able, right, to use AI to translate natural language prompts into code. This is just really, I think, simplifying the whole process of application development. And if I believe that there's going to be more applications that are going to pop up, if I believe that there's going to be more developers, if I believe that, this blockchain space overall is going to grow, and I believe that, let's say, the AI space could also have a future, wouldn't it make sense that I would assume that something like caffeine AI could have a bright long-term future? This is just my perspective. I do not know the future, though, but then at least the vibe doesn't seem that bad to me. I am a fan of what Dfinity is doing because keep in mind, caffeine AI, they didn't really have to do this, right? But then they did it anyways. Because if I take a look at the internet computer, even before all this type of stuff was announced, it already had a very good community. The fan base was already very amazing. We take a look at the exchange listings when it comes to ICP. It was already there. This is just like the big cherry on top for me, in my opinion. So I don't think that the internet computer is that bad. Keep in mind, ICP, I get it, the price has had a pretty big pullback, especially if we take a look at the 1-year chart, which I do show on the screen. It had a pretty good rally at one point, and then ever since then, it just pretty much has been going down. Even the slight recovery that we're seeing as of right now, the slight pullback, it doesn't match what it achieved back then, and not even too long ago, right? It's just a 1-year chart. So some people may be thinking, the internet computer is done and all this. Keep in mind, ICP did that back then. And what was really there to grasp onto when it comes to the internet computer? I mean, I didn't hear about caffeine AI back then, right? We take a look at the internet computer back then, pretty much people thought, it's a project that is trying to decentralize the internet throughout thousands of computers from all around the world. Also, they had this notion that, it's focused on decentralized AI. However, what was it even really doing when it comes to decentralized AI? You know what I mean? It was focused on that, but then it's not like I knew much of what they were doing. Not to mention the internet computer. People were saying, it's amazing and all this, but there wasn't really much to kind of latch onto. Sure, I understood the fundamentals. Sure, I knew that allegedly, when it comes to the internet computer, the average cost per instruction is supposedly over 40 million times less expensive than Ethereum. I saw that, but then there wasn't much to grasp onto other than just kind of the anticipation of what the internet computer could maybe be. And it already did that, again, when it comes to ICP. So now that there's caffeine AI, which allegedly I think is pretty much kind of the biggest thing that has happened to the internet computer as of late. And let's say we combine that with maybe a fully fledged type of altcoin season, what would happen to ICP? This is my perspective. However, $100 would not surprise me, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I do not know the future, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything when it comes to ICP, that wouldn't shock me too much because that wouldn't surprise me because $100, keep in mind, is around an 18x away from right now. And the market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around $53.5 billion. So it's not like it would need like a $500, $600 billion market cap to reach something like that. Not to mention around an 18x. It doesn't seem that far. If let's say ICP was at the same price it was at its most previous high, at that point, $100 wouldn't seem as, unrealistic, maybe, as what it does seem right now. And I haven't forgotten about those moments when it comes to ICP back then. So then the way I take a look at it is that I was patient when it comes to ICP back then. I was holding, I was just waiting at a time where it was kind of difficult actually to be patient because it hadn't really proven much in the grand scheme of things. I mean, just take a look at the price chart. It wasn't doing the best. And people may think, oh, it's still not doing good. I get that. But then still, in that 1 year chart, at one point, it did kind of showcase a glimpse of what it could maybe do. And many people would even argue that that wasn't even really a fully fledged type of altcoin season anyways. So if we do ever see a fully fledged type of altcoin season, if that Bitcoin dominance drops, if we see that attention when it comes to altcoins far beyond just kind of like the bigger cap altcoins, right? Like for instance, a BNB or a Solana or something like that. If we see some of it kind of trickle down to these, relatively speaking, smaller projects, ICP is not small, but it's not as big as like Solana or BNB or Ethereum. But I'm just saying, if let's say we do see something like that, $100, given kind of the, market cap, which is around 53.5 billion. I mean, let's think about that, right? Dogecoin reached over 80 billion. So Dogecoin pretty much exceeded this by around $30 billion back in 2021 in terms of market cap. And the internet computer is, I think, way more revolutionary. Now, it's never going to be as popular, I think, this cycle when compared to something like Dogecoin. But then at the same time, it doesn't seem that ridiculous to me. Now we have over 600 million crypto owners. That's way more than the peak of the 2021 bull run when there was around 300 million crypto owners. Not to mention, if we take a look at, as of right now, I feel like the attention when it comes to projects is just better than back then because take a look at the number of enterprise adoption. Take a look at, for instance, also people being more knowledgeable when it comes to projects other than just, let's say, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think if, let's say, we do see that fully fledged type of altcoin season, seeing ICP hypothetically do well would not surprise me, but only time will tell. As of right now, I can only dollar cost average hold and I just wait, that's it. However, I can take a look back in history though. Historically, altcoins usually, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Based on the last one, would actually mean around October this year because the last one did happen in April of 2024. So we're not in October yet. We're kind of close, but we're not really there yet. And from what I've seen in this space, things move very quickly. Even Bitcoin, the largest project out there that we have right now within this space, take a look at how fast that moved. And that's literally the biggest project out there. So what would happen to an altcoin like ICP if there was a fully fledged type of altcoin season? In my opinion, even historically, ICP showcased how fast it was able to move not too long ago without really much of a fully fledged type of altcoin season. And that moved pretty quickly. So if there was an actual fully fledged type of altcoin season, whenever the case may be, because that October date as a worst case scenario based off history, again, that's just based off history. We don't know this time around, at least I don't. But whenever that does decide to happen, November, December, January, whenever the case may be, I just want to be holding and just waiting because I've seen how fast ICP moved. I've seen how fast altcoins move. I've even seen how fast Bitcoin moved. So I just want to be there maybe for a moment in which that does happen by just holding and just waiting. That's pretty much it. But in the meantime, the only thing I can control is myself and I'm going to be dollar cost averaging and that's pretty much it. But I do like kind of the direction in which the internet computer is heading moving forward, especially now when there is something like caffeine AI, and I do like the possibilities there. However, only time will tell. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.